Okay, everyone. So, back by popular demand is another episode or video where I'm going to be breaking down a real IFS session I did with a demo volunteer. So, call this whatever you want. You could call it a demo dissection. I heard it being called that with the stepping stones folks. So, this is basically, yeah, me breaking down the session. I'm going to be breaking down what I'm seeing here, what I was maybe thinking in the moment, the different choice points I made in the session, what I might do differently this time, and just generally reacting to the work here in the session. So hopefully this is insightful for you, whether you're a practitioner using IFS or you're a consumer just curious about IFS. We're going to get into it and see where it goes. So without further ado, let's get into the session. This is session number 3 with a demo participant that we have named Sandra. So let's see where this goes. One thing I wanted to start with or offer is at the end of last session, we were working on unburdening 2 parts. And what we try to do is follow up with those parts after an unburdening and see if we can check in with those parts, find them, see how they're doing. So I'm curious if you're open to giving that a try as we start out here.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give it a try.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So just see what happens as you shift your focus from the happenings of the day and everything happening externally and the things swirling around your life, shifting that focus to inside. Okay, so right off the bat, this is fairly IFS textbook. So part of the protocol is whenever you've unburdened a part, you want to start the next session by checking in with that part. At the end of the day, a lot of IFS is about repairing internal attachment. And attachment is kind of the question of, do I matter to you? Will you be there for me when I need you the most? Do my needs matter to you? And this is a way of attuning to that and trying to go from, okay, in the last session where we really tried to repair this internal attachment, can we now tend to it and strengthen it and check on the strength and integrity of that connection and see if it's still there? We're also kind of seeing like, is this part still where we left it? Is this part still unburdened in the way that we left it, or has something changed? Sometimes the parts will kind of reburden or move or be somewhere else, or maybe there was hesitation or protector concerns that we didn't tend to. So this is a good way of double checking with all that. So I'm just giving her that invitation. Hey, would it make sense to check in with that part? And she's saying, yeah, let's do it. I also know that this client already has a good bit of trust in me because we've done now 3 sessions and they've gone well, and her system has been very open to the work. She's also pretty experienced with the model, even from before when she started with me. And so I'm kind of building off of that, right? Also trusting that she could say no to me if she wants, which if she said no, that would be really good information if it didn't make sense to her to start there. So she's like, yeah, let's do it. And then I'm kind of doing a little bit of focusing work here to see if I can help her kind of focus in on this part. And let's see where it goes now. And just see what you notice, what parts you're aware of, what parts you can connect to.
Hmm. So I've named I've named the 2 parts. Yeah, there's Little Miss Playful and then there's Jolly Genie. So Jolly
Okay.
Genie is saying that hmm, I could make more use of him. That's what it said actually.
Uh
That's
huh.
interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, but other than that, yeah. Mm, yeah. I'm just getting the message of just there's more. It's got more to give. The imagination part that we talked about last time. It's just like, yeah, there's more there for me to tap into.
Okay. So one of those parts says I have more to give.
Yeah, because I've like sort of unblocking the imagination was it kind of that's why it comes as a genie, you know, the genie in Aladdin who comes out of the bottle. It's kind of like this idea of I've set it free, but maybe I don't yet trust it enough to be used anytime and every time, you know, like anytime I want something.
Wow, okay, so there's a lot in here, and hopefully, again, if you're a practitioner or not, this gives you some insight into the mind of a therapist when we're in session and in these moments. So, I'm hearing that, first of all, part of the effect of unburdening this part is access to more imagination, right? When this part is unburdened, now there's more access to imagination, or imagination is kind of coming from this part, this childlike part, right? Which is very interesting and makes sense, and also is aligned with Sandra's goals for these sessions that we've talked about, and what I know about her life and what she wants, more access to imagination, creativity, play. So all this is kind of making sense. But now I'm hearing from, she says, like, you know, I'm not sure, or like, I don't, you know, I don't want this part just to kind of run wild. So I'm kind of hearing that as another part that maybe has concerns about this part kind of, you know, going nuts with the imagination or the play, right? Or what if we just become all play right now? So I'm kind of hearing that, and I'm not sure what I did next, but let's take a look.
That's what's coming up, that I need to give it more chances, more freedom. Yeah, more
Mm,
chances to shine.
okay, yeah, more chances, more freedom. Is
Hmm,
that something you're interested in offering this part?
definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe let it know that.
Yeah, just letting it know as well that, you know, a nice little sign or something, you know, would be good when I'm forgetting to use this part in a way. Um,
Mhm. Yeah, maybe the 2 of you could even decide together on what that sign might be.
I don't know, something came up that whatever came up was like pop or something. So I don't know how I will know, but I guess some kind of pop inside, I guess.
Mm. Okay, something interesting there that I'm just noticing is, notice the way that she got that information. It just came to her, which is how I know that she's doing real insight work and not just making stuff up, which is a common concern with IFS, right? I'm just making this stuff up. She had her eyes closed, which doesn't matter, you can do insight with eyes open or closed, but she had her eyes closed, and we're connected with this part. I know she's at least somewhat connected with it now. We've done some of that focusing, right? And finding that part, and then she says, "Oh, it's something about pop." So she doesn't fully understand what that means, but I would take that to mean the part is kind of saying something about pop, whatever that means, is a way that I might get your attention, or a way that we might, be in lockstep with this, right? This kind of new partnership or collaboration, which is really what it is, around imagination and creativity, right? So this is systems work, right? We have multiple members of a team here saying, "Hey, I'm open to renegotiating how we do things around here," right? You've agreed to let me bring more of what I bring to the table, which is imagination. And here's how we're going to talk about it, or here's the cue I might give you for, hey, could I bring more imagination here? Could I bring more play here? And so this negotiation is happening right before our eyes. Let's see what happens next.
That will tell me like a reminder,
Hmm.
maybe like a bubble popping or
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah, that sounds pretty clear. Okay. So let me know if it feels right to. Okay, here's a mistake I made. I don't know why I spoke then. If I could do it again, I would have just let her keep going, because I can tell that she's doing good work. She's still inside doing her own work. She's kind of grinning. It seems like she's connected with this part who's talking about the popping, and I should stay out of the way of that. So I'm not sure why I spoke there, right? Maybe I had a part that wanted to progress the session or know what to say or was uncomfortable with that silence or whatever it is. Maybe also my parts that are aware that this is a demo or I'm trying to demonstrate more of the model or more of, yeah, its potential or my skills or whatever. So I'm noticing that now and noticing how, yeah, I wish I had just let her work there. If clients are doing good work, get out of the way. I know that and I teach that, but I didn't really do it there. So there you go. I'm a work in progress. Let's see what happens now. Focused on this part, or if there's another part that more needs your attention today. So again, I wish I hadn't done that. And it's not the worst thing in the world to say, okay, are you noticing other parts inside right now that need our help, right? But I'm kind of assuming that the work with this one, the one about the popping and the imagination, is done, right? So I'm kind of progressing the session or trying to progress the session, whereas I should have just hung in there and let her keep working, right? She might work with that imagination part for the rest of the session. I don't know. But again, if she's doing good work, my job is to stay out of the way and only jump in and gently help if she gets stuck or blended. So, yeah.
No, I mean, that's all I'm getting is this idea of freedom, really, like just yeah, just sense of really giving it, like trusting it and
Yeah.
give it freedom. So yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Mm, mm,
So interestingly, she's still kind of there, right? I kind of checked in with the other parts that need our attention, and she's still with this one, saying it's something about freedom, being this part being able to express freely or be imaginative freely. So she's still kind of with it, even though I, kind of invited her to zoom out. So sometimes, the client system, they lead the way and they should lead the way and they know the way. So good example of that.
it's okay. Yeah, we can. And I think
How does
like
that
almost. Yeah, sorry.
go ahead? Yeah. Yeah.
No,
The part.
fine. No, it's fine. Well, I think no, that feels okay for me. That it's just, I guess I feel a little bit like maybe puzzled or about like don't quite know maybe what I can do to give it that freedom. Really, I think.
Okay.
Mm, of course, the word expectations comes up. That might take us somewhere interesting. Um, expectations.
Expectations.
That's another part I think that's very big, and that's really been like I think getting in the way in lots of ways. Really.
Okay. We're maybe hearing from another part here on expectations, right? But she had kind of said the part is like, well, she's not sure how to let the part have more imagination. What I could have said there is, can you ask the part? Ask the part if it has ideas about how it would like to express more imagination. And I have a really good idea that, the part would probably know and have some ideas. So that'd be an option. We always want to hear from the part. They've got a lot of wisdom to offer, and a lot of times they know, um, yeah, they know the way, right? And you imagine like it's been a long time or possibly forever that this part has really been heard and been welcomed and offered a seat at the table to say, "Hey, you matter, and your offering of imagination matters." And how would you like to offer that gift of imagination, right? And just really taking our time there. So again, I really wish I had massaged this moment more and just allowed for this moment to play out more. So
I think it's the expectation part that's blocking the freedom, I would say.
mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
mm,
Yeah, maybe keep going with that, see what else floats to the surface around expectation or expectations blocking freedom.
Yeah. Imagination part saying, you can't, I can't have free reign and like be fully open if you have expectations already of some exactly what you want or what's going to happen or, like, so I can't like give you everything I can give you if I'm limited by your expectations effectively. That's what I'm receiving.
All right. Again, more interesting stuff here. And what's interesting is so many elements of IFS are playing out in this session already in the few minute we've been playing for the first 7 minutes of the session. And there's already many, many elements of the model playing out here. One is a polarity, right? Some hesitance or polarity or disagreement around how things should be done around here, right? Hey, I offer imagination. Another part going, not so fast, or I'm worried that you're going to offer too much imagination. That could be bad. We might not meet expectations, whatever that means. We don't know yet. If you are too imaginative and just, you know, head in the clouds all the time or whatever, right? So we're hearing this hesitation. And what I want to do and maybe should do in this moment, let's see to what degree I do it, is connect both of those parts to self, connect them more to self, right? So as you notice this part, the imagination part and the expectation part, can you have, are how aware are those parts of you, of self, as you are today, right? And if they're not aware, only partially aware, is it possible to make them a little more aware of you, right? And how would you do that? Are you seeing those parts through your eyes or seeing them through a part, right? Are those parts facing each other? And if so, could you have them face you or invite them to face you and see how they react? So there's a lot of ways to facilitate this again, and a lot of this model is about mediation. So we're using our mediation skills to calmly and compassionately invite multiple perspectives and encourage a deeper sense of understanding within the system, right? And really a deeper trust of self, because one of the goals of the model is self leadership and integration, right? So this is a potential opportunity to practice some of that self leadership. Could self be the one to decide how much imagination is just right and what proportion of imagination and expectation is just right? You know, what if there was a possibility in which self could, you know, help decide how much is required for each situation or each phase of life or whatever it is, right? Offering them these parts a new possibility, and sometimes they might be interested in that. So let's see what happens. Okay. Can this part tell you when this first started or the first time this happened?
Yeah, it says it was like from day one, there was like an expectation that mum and dad would be happy for me to arrive into their world and they would like me as I was. And mm, that wasn't the case.
Okay.
Mm.
Can can you ask the part how it knows that that wasn't the case? How did it how did it realize that mom and dad weren't so happy?
Well, it was kind of mum, mum wasn't happy about, having a child with red hair. Mum wasn't happy about having a child that cried, that didn't eat the way it was supposed to eat. That I think mum felt inadequate. And yeah, it just felt so there was always this feeling of I'm not what she wants. That was always,
Okay. Wow. Yeah. How can you ask the part how true that feels in this moment that I'm not what she wants?
It's kind of a half-half. Right. Yeah. Like in some ways, she's okay with some of what I am, and in other ways, she wishes I could be different so that we could connect.
Okay.
But there was a thought that popped in straight away earlier on that said, I have to learn to manage with other people's expectations. So if I figure out what they need, what they want, then I can do it. I can do what
Yeah.
it is that they need and they want. So if I make myself really, really, really good at anticipating other people's needs, then I can give them what they need when I feel okay to do that.
Mm. Wow. Okay. So this is manager part energy in a nutshell, right? I proactively make myself as good and lovable and helpful as possible to avoid losing love and connection, right? So I can't think of a clip that would be more representative of how a manager part speaks and feels and acts, right? And the mentality that these parts have for really good reason. And again, you're seeing the reason right here. So when I asked her, how true does it feel right now, right, that I'm unlovable? It was kind of another way of checking for blendedness, right? How blended is she with the part, right? Do I still feel or fear that I'm unlovable to mom, even as the adult that she is today and that I can see that she is today? And she's like, it's half and half, right? So it's kind of like I'm kind of half blended with that part, right? Or to some degree, depending on the actual relationship with her mom, some of it might be true, right? Her mom may actually find her lovable in some ways and unlovable in other ways, right? That might be true. And if so, can self hold all of that, right? Can self hold all of that? And we hold the idea or the belief that yes, self can hold all of it, even if that painful reality is true and is part of her life and part of her dynamic with her mom today, right? But again, that piece of that manager energy is just so strong and just so explicit there. So, hopefully you can see that too.